Okay, in today's video, I wanted to go over some of my thoughts on what's known as the Heart Sutra, or otherwise known as the Mahaprana Paramita Aharidya. Um, but when I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to say, there was just so much background information I had to give, it kind of was getting messy. And I kind of realized, why don't I just actually read the entire sutra? Because it's actually 2 pages. So we're going to turn this video into kind of a read along, and then I'll just add some commentary at the end. But before we get into it, I do think there's a few words that are pretty common in Buddhist scripture, but if you're not all too familiar, they can be confusing. So I briefly wanted to cover them. First up, where you're going to hear samadhi, which just means like steady focus. It's like something they say or is happening during meditation. You'll also hear Avalokitesvara, which just means like it's a compassionate bodhisattva who hears the cries of those who suffer. A bodhisattva is just someone who teaches the Dharma. Well, not just someone, but for this purpose, that's how we're going to define it. You're going to hear skadas, which is just the 5 aggregates of form, which is part of the sutra, so we'll get into that. Don't worry about it. A word you're going to hear a lot, and this one's really important, so I'd write this down, is the prana paramita, which just means like wisdom that sees through illusion. A lot of Buddhism is about this idea, so you're going to hear this word a lot in the sutra, so just keep that one in the back of your mind. Now, this sutra is actually all about emptiness and how it relates to the nature of existence. But my favorite definition of emptiness, as understood in more Eastern religion, is actually included in this introductory part of this Bhagavad Gita, which is actually a Hindu scripture, but the definition serves really well, so I'm going to read that for you. It says, when you hear the term emptiness in Eastern religion, it's not that something is unreal in the sense that it does not exist, but in the sense that the external world is endlessly changing and impermanent and cannot be a reliable reference for understanding reality. So that's what it means when it says emptiness, roughly speaking. It's a little more complicated, but when you hear the word emptiness, just try to think that in your mind and it'll make a lot more sense. Without further ado, let's just get into the read and I'll add my comments after. Thus have I heard, at one time, the Blessed One, together with many of the highest bodhisattvas and a great company of bhikshus, was standing at Rahagara on Mount Giridakuta. The Blessed One was standing apart, absorbed in samadhi, and the noble Avalokitesvara was meditating on the profound prana paramita. The venerable Saraputra, influenced by the Blessed One, absorbed in samadhi, spoke thus to the noble Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara. If a son or daughter wishes to study the profound prana paramita, how is he to do so? The noble Avalokitesvara replied to the venerable Sariputra, saying, if a son or daughter wishes to study the profound prana paramita, he must first get rid of all ideas of ego-selfness. Let him think thus. Personality? What is personality? Is it an enduring entity, or is it made up of elements that pass away? Personality is made up of the 5 grasping aggregates: form, sensation, perception, discrimination, consciousness, all of which are by nature empty of any self-substance. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is not different from form, neither is form different from emptiness. Indeed, emptiness is form. Also, sensation is emptiness. Emptiness is not different from sensation, neither is sensation different from emptiness. Indeed, emptiness is sensation. Also, perception is emptiness. Emptiness is not different from perception. Neither is perception different from emptiness. Indeed, emptiness is perception. Also, discrimination is emptiness. Emptiness is not different from discrimination. Neither is discrimination different from emptiness. Indeed, emptiness is discrimination. Also, consciousness is emptiness. Emptiness is not different from consciousness. Neither is consciousness different from emptiness. Indeed, emptiness is consciousness. Thus, O Saraputra, all things having the nature of emptiness have no beginning and no ending. They are neither faultless nor not faultless. They are neither perfect nor imperfect. In emptiness there is no form, no sensation, no perception, no discrimination, no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no sensitiveness, to contact, no mind. There is no sight, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no mental process, no object, no knowledge, no ignorance. There is no destruction of objects. There is no cessation of knowledge, no cessation of ignorance. There is no noble fourfold truths, no pain, no cause of pain, no cessation of pain, no noble path leading to the cessation of pain. There is no decay and no death, and no destruction of the notion of decay and death. There is no knowledge of nirvana. There is no obtaining of nirvana. There is no not obtaining of nirvana. Why is there no obtaining of nirvana? Because nirvana is the realm of no thingness. If the ego's soul of personality was an enduring entity, it could not obtain nirvana. It is only because personality is made up of elements that pass away that personality may obtain nirvana. So long as man is seeking highest perfect wisdom, he is still abiding in the realm of consciousness. If he is to realize nirvana, he must pass beyond consciousness. In highest samadhi, having transcended consciousness, he has passed beyond discrimination and knowledge. Beyond the reach of change or fear, he is already enjoying nirvana. The perfect understanding of this and the patient accepting of it is the highest perfect wisdom, that is prana paramita. All the Buddhas of the past, present, and future, having obtained highest samadhi, awake to find themselves realizing prana paramita. Therefore, O Saraputra, everyone should seek self-realization of prana paramita, the transcendent truth, the unsurpassable truth, the truth that ends all pain, the truth that is forever true. O prana paramita, O transcendent truth that spans the troubled ocean of life and death, safely carry all seekers to the other shore of enlightenment. Listen to the mantra, the great, mysterious mantra, gate, gate, parasamagate, bodhisva. Gone, gone, gone to that other shore, safely passed to that other shore. O paramitra, so may it be. Okay, now that we finished the read, I wanted to kind of just share some of my thoughts. First off, I must apologize for some of my choke-ups while reading. Sorry about that. And the reason I wanted to talk about this sutra in the first place is because it so beautifully explains the nature of the self or personality, explains why that's important, and how that relates to nirvana. So, kind of putting it simply, if you didn't quite catch it through the reading, to obtain the prana paramita, you must abandon conceptions of ego or selfness. So it's understanding that personality or self is illusory in nature or empty in nature. So the 5 aggregates of form that make up this personality, it says, are sensation, perception, discrimination, and consciousness. Those are obviously pretty straightforward, but they can be a little confusing, and another way to say it would just be like form, feeling, perception, mental formations, or like mental distinctions, and consciousness. So these 5 things together make up what you commonly would refer to as, me, or I, or the ego, the self, right? There's a million different ways to say it, which kind of makes it a little confusing, but it's all encapsulated in the term personality in the sutra. So now we get the first 2 points. First, you have to abandon the illusion of self. Here is the illusion of self. It then has that big paragraph where it's kind of like, this is not emptiness, emptiness is not this is that, and it gets really repetitive. But basically what all that's saying is we have these dualistic images in our mind where we make distinction between emptiness and things, but it's not like that. These things are empty in nature. That's all that's trying to say. So understanding that things are empty in nature, your personality is empty in nature, you can then understand how this relates to passing into nirvana. I think this is such a cool sutra because it's one of the only times we see kind of like metaphysics as understood by Buddhism. It says, kind of towards the end when explaining nirvana, it says nirvana is the realm of no thingness. It gets a little complicated there when it says like nirvana is, there is no nirvana, there is no self, there is no not nirvana, there is no not self. And what this is saying is nirvana is the realm of no thingness. It's nothingness, right? And although you are empty of any sort of enduring thing, you are still a thing. But because you are not eternal or anything like that, you can actually enter nirvana. Once you become no thing, you can enter the realm of no thingless, right? So, and at the end it says, this is actually achievable even now. It talks about how the Bodhisattva who has realized the truth of the prana paramitra, he consists of no thingness, and thus is already experiencing nirvana in this present empty form. So that just ties off the sutra. So we start with what's needed, what that is, how you realize it, and why that matters. My copy actually has this really beautiful kind of poem right before the sutra, and I wanted to read that kind of just as a close off because I think it really summarizes my thoughts really well. I have a Buddhist Bible by Dwight Goddard. If you have that edition, it'll have this poem. I have no idea what this is from, and I'm sorry I can't give more information, but here it goes. It says, "Everything changes, everything passes, things appearing, things disappearing. But when all is over, everything having appeared and having disappeared, being and extinction both transcended, still the basic emptiness and silence abides, and that is peaceful bliss." Boom. I don't even think I'm going to ruin that by rambling on. We're just going to end it there. Thanks for watching. Like I said, I have more videos on kind of the nature of self. I have a video on why I study religion even though I'm an atheist. Kind of lots of ideas tie into this, so if you're interested in more, I have more. But that's enough thinking for today. Thanks, guys.